Hey, what's up, She Sound Off family? Hey, y'all, welcome to another episode of She Sound Off podcast and YouTube channel. I am Mystique Moon. I am your host, and I'm feeling really great today. I'm in a really great mood. As you can see on my YouTube watchers, I got a really big smile on my face. I got things to smile about. Anyway, for my podcast listeners, you guys, make sure you check out my YouTube channel. If you are ever on YouTube, go to She Sound Off podcast on YouTube and check out your girl. My subscribers are starting to go up. You know, I wrote down, I got notebooks everywhere, you guys, and I literally like write down my manifestations on pieces of paper. I write them down in my books. I have like 5 or 6 different journals that I write in. In moments time, I'll go to one journal and journal about something else, and then put that one down, and then be like, oh, I got another idea, and I'll go to another journal. I got notebooks everywhere. You turn around, you know what I'm saying? Because that's just me. I got to take these thoughts and put them on paper, because if I don't, it might be like a good idea and I'll lose it, or it just be something I need to get off my chest, something I'm thinking at that moment, and I have to get it out. So I keep journals, I keep notebooks everywhere. But I always talk about, write in my journals about, you know, my goals and the things like that I want to pursue, and my manifestations, you guys. So, I manifested something very great today, and I believe that's the other reason why I'm feeling good. Like, I got a couple reasons to be happy, you know, aside the fact that I'm alive and well and healthy. My daughters are healthy. I'm living a really peaceful life here in Texas, you know, as opposed to where I came from. But, you know, I manifested something great, and I'm going to be real transparent with you guys and talk about this. I want to sound off to show up for yourself. So for the longest, probably like a couple weeks, you know, as you guys know, I've been battling that fear versus desire. And one of the fears that I had been facing was my finances, y'all. Listen, I had been so like caught up in doing a lot of healing, my spiritual journey and stuff like that, that I literally gave my finances a backseat. Like, really? My finances a backseat? No, so the way it went was, you know, I had took a kind of a break from working at my job. And I'm not going to lie, I didn't set up the greatest situation. It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't great. You know, I was just so anxious to just, you know, take that stress off from working and being a single parent and all this other stuff that I didn't plan as good or as great as I could have, but no regrets, because everything worked out exactly how it should have worked out. And when I say I'm having, you know, been having financial difficulties, I mean like my essentials are paid. My essentials are paid. However, when you get to a place where the money that you saved up is starting to dwindle down, you got all these expenses and all this stuff going on, it's like, okay, you're forced to make a decision to go back to work, because I'm working part-time, but I'm mostly focusing on my mental health, my healing, and my dream. And that is, of course, being a motivator, a motivational speaker, being a teacher. I don't like to use the word life coach, but you know, if we need to put a title on it, being a life coach, I'm writing a book, I'm doing so many things. I'm creating webinars, I'm creating a workshop, I'm doing the things, planting seeds that is going to grow a harvest of my dream. And I'm, you know, from that harvest, I'll be able to be financially free. But in the meantime, you guys, I'm planting these seeds, but a long seed planting season, because that's what I call this. I call this seed planting season. Okay. You have to be able to maintain. And so I hit a detour. We'll say that. I'm going to stop saying I hit or we can say bump in the road, but roadblocks, no, because it's not blocking the road. I hit a detour and I needed to go a different route. And I was a little bit stressed out about it, because anytime that you are a single parent and you're doing everything on your own, that can get extremely stressful. Like, it can get extremely stressful. And it is because that I'm so tapped into my spirit, y'all. I'm so tapped into my higher self that I'm able to get past these moments, because, you know, when your money ain't right, nothing is right in your life. You know, when you're stressed out about how you're going to eat, and what I mean by eat is how you're going to pay for your basic essential needs, nothing is sitting right. Your mood is thrown off. You can't sleep at night. You're always upset. You're always angry. That is typically how a person would feel when their finances is all jacked up. But because I have a higher sense of self, I understand that the things that I manifest will come. The issue, I forgot to put my phone on. My bad. So the issue that I was having was trying to control the manner in which it came, right? Trying to control the manner in which it came. I wanted to control how it came. And one thing that I realized in this chapter of my life is when you are manifesting something, you can control if it comes or not, because you know, we have these blocks in us that we don't even, some people know they have them, some people don't know they have them, but we sometimes create these blocks preventing our manifestations from flourishing. And again, sometimes you know you have them and sometimes you don't. Well, I had blocks and I didn't even know that I had them. When they was brought to my attention, I cleared those blocks. The moment I cleared those blocks, everything started to flourish. And when I say everything, I mean everything. But what I had to let go of is the control, and I had to show up for myself. And it was a hard pill to swallow, because see, it's one thing when you're in alignment, but when you feel like everything is flowing and everything is smooth, and all of a sudden that detour come, y'all, you know how that shit can feel. It can feel like you done took 3 steps back, but you haven't taken 3 steps back. The most important thing that I've learned is to show up for myself in these seasons. In these seasons, it's most important to show up for myself. I could not depend on Tom, Sue, Mary, I'm just naming some fucking names. But I could not depend on anybody else to show up for me in this season. I had to stand strong and believe that my manifestations was going to come. And then I had to take accountability for, you know, what I was doing in the process. Like I said, once I found out that I had these blocks, which is what I also mentioned in the last episode, Fears versus Desires. If you have not listened to that last episode, I strongly urge you to go back and listen to it, because my block was my fears, and then I cleared those up, and then everything started to flourish. But what I had to do after that was to show up for myself. You know, I think that a big part of me wanted things to just fall out the sky. Not gonna front. Like I did. I expected that manifestations is just gonna be like all of a sudden something just fall out the sky and it's mine. And that is not the case. And I also wanted the answers outside of myself. I wanted somebody else to provide the answers from me. I was looking at other people's lives, judging theirs, judging my life against theirs, and then I was being hard on myself. When at the end of the day, all I really had to do was show up for myself. I had to take complete charge of my life and say, you know what? It's time for me to align, to make a plan, make a strategy in my life. And the funniest thing happened was in terms of my finances, I was able to speak with a friend of mine who is also a financial advisor. And when I tell you that was the power of manifestation, all I prayed for, after I got in a good place mentally and spiritually, all I pray for is understanding of my finances, y'all. That's all I would pray for. That's all I would meditate about. That was the other thing that was kind of stressing me out, because like, I'm in this place. How do I get out? Okay, how do I get out of this place financially? Now, I've already overcome homelessness. I've already overcome a person trying to rip me apart. I've already overcome so many things and obstacles that have tried to stop me. You know, that's easy. You know, that stuff was easy, and then right now it's still easy. But in doing all that and going through all that, I kind of dug myself in a hole financially. And so this is what I will harp on all the time. How do I financially get equipped to carry on? Where do I get my financial literacy from? Where do I start, you guys? I know that there's some people out there that's trying to understand how to be stronger financially, mentally, how to mentally be stronger from a financial standpoint. You know, financial people talk about financial literacy all the time, but how do you start? How do you start when you don't have any money in a bank account? How do you start to be financially be on a road to become a financially free when you're working a dead-end job, or when your finances depend on your spouse who's financially abusive? How do you start if you're, going to school, working, and you're just literally, your head is floating above water, you're up to here. How do you proceed? How do you continue on? Where do you start? Those are all the questions that I had. Now, not all of that was my situation, but I was just throwing examples out there. But, a lot of people are in these financial binds and literally don't know how to get out of them. And so I started to manifest in my meditations, help, and then a friend showed up who is also a financial advisor. And I'm not going to lie, it was a quite intimidating conversation we had, because I'm very weird when it comes to money, because y'all, I don't like dealing with it. I don't like it. If I didn't have to deal with money, balance it, figure it out, making sure it's this, that, and the other, listen, I'd be so happier. That's why one of my goals is to live on a farm, produce my own food, or live in a lake house, by a lake or something like that. By spring, I want my own well water. Like, I want to live completely off the grid. That's another whole conversation. But I don't like to handle money, because it's a trigger point for me, because I grew up without money. I grew up without any money, and I don't know how to make it work in my head, if that makes any sense. If there's anybody out there that know what I'm talking about, please don't leave me hanging. Like, I literally don't know how to make it work in my head. I know how to spend it, and I may know how to invest it a little bit, but to make it just grow to heights that I've never reached, I'm not there yet. I'm being completely transparent. Now, I will get there, which brings me to this podcast, to show up for yourself. So I had this very intimidating conversation with him, and at the end of the conversation, I realized that all of those fears and doubts that I had, again, was in my head. All of those fears and all of those doubts was, again, in my head. I did not know how to, I'm not going to say I didn't know how to. I didn't understand that it was as easy as writing down your expenses, figuring out what you need to make, and then charting that shit out on a daily basis. I didn't even know that it was that easy, because I'm one of those people, I get it, it come in and I spend it. I might save a little bit, I might put a little bit here, I might do a little bit of investing. But at the end of the day, to actually control that shit, listen, I'm one of those people, okay? I am one of those people, and I'm not ashamed to say it, and I don't give a goddamn who. Like, there is so many people right now that's in debt here in America. America itself is in debt, but there are so many people that is currently in debt. Why the fuck should I feel any type of way to, be transparent to my She Sound Off family? It was really intimidating. After everything was said and done, and I realized that I was running away from an illusion, because it was not real. The fear that I was causing myself wasn't real. It's something that I created in my head from nothingness. Literally from nothingness. I found out that managing, budgeting, putting yourself in a situation financially was not that hard to do. All you really have to do, all that's required, is for you to show up for yourself. These are the moments when you're in financial bind that you have to be very, very conscious of the choices that you make. You have to be very conscious of the choices that you make, and you have to stick behind your words. You have to stick behind your commitments. You have to stay in a place where you are consistently feeding yourself positivity, and you are consistently monitoring what is going in and what is coming out. Okay? And you have to be consistent. You have to be the person to balance that shit out. You know what I'm saying? And it's not really that hard to do if you show up for yourself and make the damn commitment to do it. But a lot of us like to drag stuff along. Like I literally was just doing, I was dragging it along, and it wasn't serving me at all. And also I was, not only was I digging myself in a deeper hole financially, I was digging myself in a deeper hole mentally, because every time the conversation of me and money came around, I would run. And so this time I stood and I faced it head on, and I decided that I was going to be in control of my destiny. You know, I like to say that to live abundantly means to live joyous and happy in every element, in every part of your life. That's your relationships, and that relationships is with family, friends, spouse, and money. To live abundantly with all of those aspects, to live abundantly spiritually, to live abundantly mentally, physically, and just all the leads, is to live an abundant life. And this is one of the things that I had been running from for so long, until I decided it's time for me to show up for myself. I can show up for everybody else. I could deliver these messages out. But when are you going to show up for yourself, Mystique? When is it time for you to show up for yourself and take full responsibility? I don't like adulting. And I'm never going to like adulting. That's just me. I don't like authority. I was one of those bad kids that like to talk back to the teacher. I like talking back to the teacher. I like going against the grain. That's just how I was. So to be an adult and have to walk in a straight line, I don't like that. But I realized that that's what I have to do. I have to align myself financially as well. If I'm going to be aligned mentally and spiritually, I have to be aligned financially. So that's where I'm at. And that's how I decided that in order for me to do that, I would have to show up for myself. And I would have to take full responsibility of what is going on in my life financially. And I want you guys, the reason I wanted to have this really quick episode was because I want you to understand that when you are ready to live an abundant life, that is a really important part of it. And if anybody is like me who run away from finances because you think that you are not in a place where you want to be, you're never going to be in a place where you want to be if you don't recognize the place that you are currently. And if you don't take ownership of that, if you don't take responsibility, and if you don't appreciate exactly where you are, you'll never go to that next level. Because it's like, would you really want, would you really want for somebody to give you $1 million if you don't know how to manage $1,000? Because you can look back on $1,000 and say, yeah, I blew that. I can make $1,000 easy. $1,000 is easy. $1,000 is $100 when I was a kid. That's easy. It's easy to get $1,000 and it's easy to blow through $1,000. Okay? But $1 million. Is it easy to get $1 million if you're not a millionaire? If you're not in a position where you're constantly making $1 million, is it easy to run through $1 million, y'all? Come on. Let's be real. It absolutely is not. It's not realistic for people who are not born in that category or in that lifestyle, or someone who has put themselves in a position like that. No, okay? It's not easy to come through $1 million. And then, so let's just say you haven't learned how to manage that 1,000 yet, and somebody gave you $1 million. Then what? Then you're running through it like that. How many stories that y'all hear about somebody that has blew through this, blew through that, these sports players and these musicians and these gurus and all these people who has blown they was millionaires and then they just blew through it. And now they have a whole story to tell. You know what I'm saying about that? Would you really want that burden without understanding and learning how to show up for yourself financially? I know I don't. Now I'm not trying to forego my manifestations because I know that, I've manifested financial freedom. That's how I'm calling it. Financial freedom. I'm not manifesting these riches where I just have all this money. That's not what I want. That's not just it's not in my desires. My desires is to be financially free, to be able to give back, and to be able to have enough to leave a legacy, and to be able to have enough to get my farm and get my land and live peacefully with my animals and my plants and my vegetables and my soulmate, or my twin flame, which is EI, my future husband, which I'm waiting on you. Anyway, so yeah, I don't want to be one of those stories, And so many times we want to manifest something so big when we're not even fucking ready for it. You have to prepare yourself for these manifestations, y'all. And we're so quick to want to hop from this to that we forget, well, it takes steps to get to this and that. Because I guarantee you, if someone gave you $1 million, the first chance you get, you're going to do something stupid with it. And $1 million. Oh, excuse me. Hold on. And $1 million is not a lot of money when you say, okay, I'm going to buy this big house. I'm going to buy 17 cars. Oh, I need to give all my family. That you're going to be broke. Like straight up. There ain't no if, ands, or buts about it. Okay? So, you need to show up for yourself and get yourself in a good mind space. I'm talking to me. And if it relates to you, I'm talking to you. Get yourself in a good mind space where you show up for yourself in every areas of your life. Right now, I'm just talking about finances. Maybe you need to show up for yourself in your relationship. Maybe you need to show up for yourself in your schoolwork. Maybe you need to show up for yourself because you're trying to get a promotion and you're waiting for someone to hand it to you. You're waiting for somebody to hand you your answers, but it won't work like that. You have to be the one to show up and to get the answers, to work for them, to manifest for them, to put in the work. I'm not talking about manual work. I'm talking about to put in the work, to do the things that you need to do to get to where you want to go. It has to be you. We want things handed to us. Or, here's a good one. We want it to come easy. We want it to come easy. I want it to come easy. I wanted it to come easy. And what I mean by easy is I wanted it to just fall in my lap. I wanted it to come easy. But things that's come easy is not worth having. Things that's worth fighting for, things that is worth fighting for, is worth having, because those tend to be the things that you keep on the long haul and for the long haul. Are the things, because they have more value to it. People tend to place value on something that they have to work to get. So what is that? If some money just fall into your lap, you're not going to value it as much as if it took you 3 or 4 years to accumulate that same amount of money. You're going to value it. You're going to want it to last because you're going to appreciate it even more. And that's the same as anything else in your life. Okay? But in order to get to that spot, you have to show up for yourself. You have to be the one to take the initial steps, to do the work, and to be consistent in your word. Be a man and a woman of your word. All right? And that's a whole lesson that I learned and that I am living by moving forward. Okay? So that's the message that I have for you guys. I'm so thankful that I got through this whole message, because y'all, I didn't make any notes. I usually make notes. I didn't make notes this time. I just literally freestyled this shit off the top of my head. That's what could be why it's probably sounded like it's all over the place, because I just literally, but I knew that I had to stay consistent on my word. And okay, so when I write these episodes out, I can kind of put them all in order to make them make sense. But this time, I'm just letting this shit ride because it is what the fuck it is. Y'all love me anyway because y'all still coming back to listen, okay? All right, these are moments of transparency. Sometimes that freestyle shit be the best ones because that's when you get really authentic with it. You ain't got no time to think about what you're gonna say, so you say the first thing that comes to your head, and usually the first thing to come from people's mouths are the truth. Then they think about it, then they like to switch it up. When you hear somebody say something and they be like, no, well, what I meant to say, no. You said exactly what you meant to say, my dear, the first time you said it, but you thought about it and you didn't want to ruffle no feathers. But sometimes people need their motherfucking feathers ruffled. You know what I mean? Sometimes people need to get their fucking feathers ruffled. Okay? All right, so that's all the show I have for you guys today. Make sure you tune back, or you come back to my my channel next Tuesday. Next Tuesday is when I'm going to upload more episodes. Every Tuesday and every Friday there will be a new podcast, and throughout the week I might turn in a little something. So you guys make sure, again, you turn on that notification bell so that you will know, okay, to stay up. Share this message. Go and look at all episodes and share the message. If you get anything out of it, make sure you share, okay? All right, you guys, I'm going to get out of here. Just remember one thing, if you don't remember anything else, that self-preservation is the first law of nature. You have to love yourself before you can love anything and anybody else. Always remember that. So you got to show up for yourself, and you got to put yourself first. All right? Until next time.